you can mute it. You can put down your volume. Yeah, if not, we'll have echo. Okay. Okay, so I will off myself first.
Recording now.
Enjoy.
Yeah, now we are actually on testing. I think Mary, you have to. No, you have to. Let me see. You have to mute. I think you have to mute your Zoom. Yeah, because we are hearing to. Now it's okay. Hey, now I'm hearing too also. Muted. Yes, I can hear you. But I can still hear two sound.
Here, that's unmuted. That's my Zoom unmuted.
Zoom unmuted. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, strange. I can hear two voice of myself. Oh, another. Let me check.
Mary, you talk to LG.
Mr. Andrew, 你的
Zoom is
your
recording.
Mr. Andrew, your earphone is inside in the phone or laptop?
Then it off 咗你呢度嘅，off 咗呢個佢。
Inside the phone.
Inside the phone. So later you have to mute your volume for your laptop, but you don't mute your Zoom because your Zoom, if you mute, you cannot record the sound.
Yeah, I mute the laptop.
You still hear two voices? Okay, now you can off the laptop.
have we have a lockdown, I had a special.
Wow, that's how you make good use of all the things that you have. Okay, I think there are some questions about they can't hear us in Zoom. Can anybody hear us in Zoom now? If anybody can hear, give us some. Still cannot hear in Zoom. I already unmute. Yeah, try to unmute the Zoom.
There we are.
Yeah. Okay, well, the strange thing is that because when I unmute, I can hear two voices in the Instagram. Can you hear two voices as well?
I can hear two voices.
Yeah, this strange. I'm not sure how can we do this. There is echo from me. How should I do it? Let me position myself.
Is that any better, Andrew? There.
Is it better this way?
That's better for me.
Yeah, I can see it.
Still here too.
Can still hear? Oh, it's still 2 times. Yeah. How is that possible?
I can mute my IG.
No, I know we need to have IG on. Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
my IG.
Let me check.
Is that
Testing, testing.
that's perfect for me.
Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Can hear, right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Okay. Okay, for those that have just, I think, yeah, I have actually off my laptop volume. We have a similar issue last time. Strange. I think Zoom can hear clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
But you do hear double sound, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, you
It's-
don't?
Yeah, it's perfect now.
Everybody can hear clearly?
Can we continue?
For Zoom, is it clear now? Single voice, single sound? Okay, no double sound, very good. How about IG? Can you hear clearly? IG can hear. It's a single sound as well, right? Okay, good. That means it's only myself, yeah? I can hear double. Remember, I just have to train myself.
IG double.
IG double. Or IG still double. There must be some interference here. IG double. Okay, let me try this one. Hello, hello.
IG 原來插 earphone 咧，到 earphone。
Hello, hello. Yeah, still double. I don't know why. Not sure where is the interference coming from.
Okay. Okay. Yes, we have a program. It's called First Start PE and Wellbeing Program. And it's a physical education program that we administer in our gym, but we also bring out to different schools. And we have 30 schools right now in Canada as well that are implementing our program. But it's a wonderful program, and much of what we've implemented into First Start, I've taken from the best of things that I know from Taekwondo. For example, we really work with the children on not only physical skills and building them up little by little by little, but we also work on etiquette, and we work on self-discipline. And I think those are things that are so important nowadays, especially in the world of sports, when you see children going on to different levels of sports, to be able to understand that there is a way to conduct yourself. There's a self-discipline that's involved in getting to a high level. And it's not only for that, it's really for children that want to maintain activity for life. And we find that when we get to working with skills at a very young age, if they become proficient, if they become very good at the skills that they're doing at a young age, then they like what they're doing and they tend to stay with physical activity for longer. And in times like this, we see how important it is not only to keep the body, healthy, but the body being healthy also helps to keep the mind healthy. And that's very, very important. Everything must be positive for us to tackle something that's as challenging as the situation that we're in at the moment. Mhm, 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 mhm. Sure. Oh, yes, we do. A lot of my children are in Taekwondo, and a lot of the children would start in my First Start program and then also transition into Taekwondo because the skills are developed and they seem to have a big interest in it once they have confidence in themselves and a great self-esteem. So we have about 200 and some students in my full-time gym that train only in Taekwondo. And I have about another 100 that train in the First Start program from ages about 3 to 6 in my gym. And then we have a program called Train the Trainer. And if I'm going out to a school, what I will do is only a small team of us will go out and we will train the coaches on how to adapt our program to fit the needs of their school. So for example, some of the schools that we work with have ages, one teacher for ages 5 to 12. And it's a very small school. So what we have to do is teach them how to take our First Start program and be able to adapt it to dealing with children that are older or children that maybe find it a little bit easier, how to excel with those children. So that's one area. And then cultures too are so different. And so we want to take our games and things that might be of interest to Irish children here, you might not be as interesting to the Malaysian children in your schools. So what we would like to do is always teach our teachers how to adapt what we have and make it a bit more friendly for the kids that we're teaching. So I think that's what I'll tell you a little bit more about First Start if you'd like. The program that we have at the moment is a program where we say we have different tools to keep kids active for life. One of the tools that we have is a lesson plan that will go to the teachers, and the teachers on a weekly basis, they can follow from the very beginning, from the warm up all the way through to this final stretches at the end. And it gives them a video description of what the program is like, and then also gives them words to follow so that they can read through if they prefer to do that. And a teacher in any culture can take the lesson plan and have it on their phone if they need to refer back to it during the lesson. And they can also have it on their screen on their computer. So it works very well. And in tandem, what we try to do is, I think your culture is so much better at this, and we're trying to adapt our culture to understanding this, but getting the entire circle closed in communication. So we have a student working with a teacher, but they're also working with the family at home. And it kind of, we call it a closed loop of communication. So we have tools then that allow a parent to log on to their child's page, and they can see what the child needs to work on, and they can help with the different assessments and things like that that go along with it. And then our workbook, so we have it here, I don't know if you can see there, but the workbook here, then it allows the children to play these fun games, and they can do home games that develop different skills. And then every 6 weeks, they would do their own assessment. So an assessment that matches what a parent would see. And that would be a page like this. So if the child is able to hop on the left leg around a cone, they can color a star in. And the parent then can see us demonstrating that online and then see, yes, the child can do this. So that the parent gets involved. And I think in our culture, it's a unique thing. I know from my friends in Asia that I think you're so much better at having everybody involved and getting the parents working with the children. We need to work on that a bit more here possibly. And so that's what we're trying to encourage, is trying to encourage everybody. And what we find is a few of the comments would be, the parents say, you know, we don't know how to play with our children anymore because they're always on a screen or an iPad or a template, you know, something online. And the parents sometimes forget how to play with the children. And so through our workbooks that we have and through different games, we allow the parents to start to learn how to play with their children again in that way. In my opinion, I don't believe that we do enough. They have allocated now 1 hour per week for physical education. And I believe some schools are very, very good at, you know, implementing more programs than the requirement, you know, has allocated. But I think for the most part, the children are lacking in that area. And the one thing that I find is very important is our schools tend to well, I guess in some cases, I should say, tend to exchange physical activity for physical education. And they're two very different areas. Physical activity would be going out and playing a sport. Physical education is actually an education. It's actually developing, you know, skills from the ground up. And then also incorporating that with an understanding of nutrition and understanding of the body and anatomy and physiology, so that children understand, you know, the importance of what they're doing, not only just going out and kicking a ball. And I think in my opinion, what I would like to see is I would like to see our schools stepping back a bit and going back into really skill development before they introduce games for children to play. Because what will happen, you know, in any culture is some children will be more able to perform and play games right away, while other children will struggle. And so those children who struggle seem to be left behind. And what I would like to see is work on skills and progress them the same way you would teach your maths or your reading. You know, you go little by little by little and build. And, you know, then eventually everybody can read a book. But if you jump right to reading a book, you know, immediately, maybe one or two will be able to do that, but most won't. So I think, yeah, I think that to me is the reason why we designed First Start, is to make sure that all skills are developed, you know, that children aren't just hopping on the left leg, they can hop on the right leg as well, you know. And once they have, you know, all of the skills developed in the right way, then games become fun. And, you know, participation becomes, you know, something that they want to do, they don't have to do it. And, you know, it becomes more enjoyable. Yeah. Right. Hmm. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose Taekwondo really, because I started Taekwondo when I was a teenager in the United States, and I studied the WTF, World Taekwondo Federation style of Taekwondo. And then when I moved to Ireland in 1996 with my husband, they didn't have a WTF, so I started again as a white belt in ITF, it's International Taekwondo. And I've really enjoyed my training. I've had just exceptional trainers here. Grandmaster Don Dalton is the head of our organization, and he's phenomenal. He's just a wonderful person and somebody that, you know, is a great leader for that reason. So, and that's where my love of you know, physical activity really developed, is through Taekwondo. Yeah. Very young age, yeah. Many years ago. Well, I tell you, everybody in my family has to do something. So we all have our bit, and taekwondo wasn't his thing, but that's okay. You know, he is very active in other ways. And my children have all done taekwondo. Now, my oldest son is a doctor now. He's actually working on the front lines of this coronavirus, which is always. But he was a second degree black belt, and then my daughter is a teacher. She's a fourth degree black belt. And then I have another son who's studying to be medicine and doctor in medicine. And so and my other son, my youngest son. So I have four sons, or four children, and all very active in taekwondo. All of them are very active, exactly. And you know, Evan, I think, is working the hardest at the moment for the community, but we're all doing our bit. We're trying to help out. We're helping neighbors and doing, you know, hopefully kind gestures every day. And I think that's our goal, is, you know, to try to help somebody every day, you know, and if we do that, then we're doing a good job through this. Oh, sure. Well, we have a national school. The national school goes up until age 12. Well, I guess I should start, because they've been developing early learning centers. I don't know if it's, well, I think yours is out on its own, what you do with your early learning center. But we start here at early learning, and then we go into national school up to age 12. And then we go into what we call a secondary school. So there's 2 cycles in secondary school. One is a junior cycle, and that's 3 years long. And the other is a senior cycle, and that's 2 years long. And they can, at the end of each cycle, they do a state exam. The exams are quite intensive. They can last up to over 2 weeks. In addition to the 2-week exams that they also have oral exams for languages, and they would have music exams if they're taking a music or studying different instruments. And at the end of the senior cycle, we call that the Leaving Cert exam. That is what determines what you will do, or what you will be able to do when you go into 3rd level education. So you're allocated a certain amount of points from your performance in your exams. And then from there, you would be allocated to get into different courses at different universities. So it's a very intense. I know I grew up in the United States, and it was nothing like that at all. It was hard in its own right. However, they did much more continual progression of grades and things like that. But everything relies on your performance in the 2 weeks that you're doing the Leaving Cert. I have not been lucky enough to be to Malaysia yet. And it's on my list of places I would love to go. We have some dear friends from Malaysia, including yourselves. And I would definitely love to come and see your center and visit you as well. I've been lucky to be in other Asian countries and have loved the experience. And I think my training in Taekwondo kind of binds me to that culture. You know, I love the etiquette. I, you know, enjoy the people, and I think your values are so strong, and your family values are wonderful. And I think, you know, that's what I've enjoyed the most, and the food. I love eating, so the food to me is very good. But Malaysia is on my list.
But so
Well, I think, you know, everything in moderation. In my house, we have treats, but we don't eat a lot of treats in moderation. You know, so, and I suppose we just have a nice healthy diet. You know, we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables for kids that are out there. That's very important. And we stay away from a lot of the heavy, we don't do the heavy greasy foods in our house. And so I think that everything really in moderation is the best, and a lot of water. We drink a lot of water. Oh, we have, and they're going very well. The schools that are using them are really enjoying the programs. Again, we face a challenge with a lot of the schools that we're working with there on their smaller schools, and they would have multiple ages in their classrooms. And so what we've had to do is teach the teachers again how to be able to, you know, work on a skill but be able to make it interesting for all age groups. And that's been a really lovely challenge. And when I found, I guess what I found that it works quite well with our program. You know, what we do is we focus on skills based on muscle development and what muscles we need to work on. And then we have a skill to work those. And then we would implement a game that would make it more fun. And so what we have had to do with a lot of the older children is we still have to make sure they have the ability to perform the skills, but we have to make the games a bit more fun. And then I guess the other challenge, you know, when we go outside of Ireland is to make sure that it translates culturally, and, you know, making sure that you know, it's of interest. So, you know, if we were to come into Malaysia, I think Hoagie the Globetrotter, is that a fun TV show that I've read about? You know, we would pull in some of the characters from the tree frog to the dragonfly and things like that into our program, and make the kids be able to see, you know, and have more fun with it, because they're actually then jumping into the world of Hoagie the Globetrotter. So what we try to do in Canada is the very same thing. We try to find something that the children enjoy, and then we develop our games around those things so that the children can actually start to engage their imagination.
Okay, that is Canada.
Mhm. Oh, that's a nice question. I think if you know what, I guess probably the best way to answer that is what we feel we do differently than other programs. And again, what we do is we add such a structure to the way we provide our program and our training, and it's not just a random grab bag of activities saying, you know, today we'll just do this. What we're actually doing is we're looking at the development of the body, and we're working on the big muscles first and the core muscles, and making sure that they're strong and stable enough to start working on, you know, stabilizing muscles alongside of that. So the activities that we start with, we start and make sure that, you know, the quadricep muscles are nice and strong, the gastrocnemius, the back of the calf is nice and strong. And then once we know that that's strong enough, then we can start working on other skills that rely on the smaller muscles. But what we try to do is it's a very safe training. You have to train safely. And if we have a game where we're working a lot of the upper body, we're going to have more upper body warm-ups along with that. And we're going to teach the children that, you know, these are the muscles that I'm going to use today. This is the muscle I have to make loose and warm it up before I start. So what we do is we are extremely safe in how we design our programs. And I think that's different. You know, I know it's different from what I've experienced in other cultures. And I guess primarily it would be Ireland and Canada and the United States. But I see a lot of this, you know, we'll work fundamental movement skills today, but there's no thought process to how you work that. And there is a very important sequence that you should follow when you're working these skills to develop the muscles in the right way. And that's what we've really spent a lot of years designing and trying to implement in our program. Do you know, we have children that start here. I would say, you know, start as young as 2 with some of the skills for children. You know, I have young children, siblings of students that I will send homework with the parents home and ask them to start working with their children. And the earlier you start the children, the better off. Our program in the schools here, because schools start at age 4, our program starts from age 4, but that I would say can easily be expanded to age 2 and 3. As soon as the children start to have, you know, some focus, some ability to be able to concentrate on a task, even for a few seconds, then I would say that's a great time to start. I think you know, oh, I'm sorry. I think what they say, you know, if you can develop your fundamental and big gross motor movement skills by the age of 7, then that gives you a leap, you know, to being able to take on more tasks and be able to use tools and, you know, sticks and rackets and things like that along with it. But those skills before the age of 7 are really, really important that we get developed. We've had just amazing results with some of our students, and we last year we went into we were invited to do a pilot program with some special needs children. So we did a program with 6 special needs children, and the needs were all across the board. We had, you know, children with emotional deficits, with social deficits, with physical deficits. And we went in to work with this group. The outcome actually was better than I ever had hoped for, because the children were had made such leaps in what they could do. And one example was one of the students was highly on the autistic spectrum. And when we had gone into the program, or began the program with the school, the teachers said that they had requested that this child be removed from school and be put into another full-time center for, you know, his disability. After the year of teaching him, he was able to stand in front of a group of parents and teachers and teach part of the program that we perform. So he did the warm-up for us, and he could actually demonstrate, he could articulate what he wanted to get across. And he had to do some planning ahead of time, because it wasn't exactly the way we perform it every day. It was something a little bit different. And the confidence in this child was just remarkable. And we found that across all 6 children. So from that point of view, I think that was probably the most difficult and challenging group that I've ever been asked to work with. And I was just thrilled with the results. Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. And it really stems from the self-esteem of the children. And, you know, when we teach our skills, we teach them in a way that we say we build a profile of successes. And what we want to do is we want the children to succeed in whatever they're doing. And if we do that, you're building their self-esteem, you're building their confidence, and everything becomes easier. So the idea is that we never give children too much. You just give them enough that it's a challenge, but it's not overwhelming and they shut down. And that's really what we've done, I think, well in our program. Mhm, 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 mhm. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it is. And self-esteem and confidence, like you said, spill over in all parts of their life, and that's good. And the other thing I think as a teacher is very important, and I say to my instructors all the time is, you know, you can never false compliment. You know, so I don't praise, because if you false compliment, the children know that they didn't do something well, and you know, but if you give them the chance to succeed and you acknowledge an achievement, that's fantastic. That's what you try to do, and that builds in a child. Mhm, 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 mhm. Well, I think you do an amazing job from what I've seen and what I've heard of your program. So I think your teachers are really really wonderful. Well, we have a couple of things that I would teach our students, and one is to, or our instructors, one is to make our environment a safe zone for children, and it's very important that when a child comes into our gym or when they come into a classroom and they're learning our program, that they understand that a mistake is fine. Everybody makes mistakes, and you know, we want to take the fear out of having other children laugh at a mistake that someone's made. So for example, if somebody falls, you know, the tendency in some of our schools would be the kids would sit and laugh, and in our gym and all that is, you know, known that can't happen. That is just a safe zone, and if you make a mistake, it's no problem. And then the other thing that we do, which I really like, is in Taekwondo we hold a hand up and we do the tenets of Taekwondo, and in our First Star Fitness classes we do something very similar, because I believe that it draws a boundary around or parameter around our learning environment. And so we hold up the hand, we pretend that there's a B in the middle of our hand, and we say, be kind, be honest, be hardworking, be controlled, and be positive. And so every class begins with that, and that is really just to show, you know, if the children aren't being kind to each other, we, you know, can remind them, you told us you were going to be kind, you know. Or if they, you know, some of our children here, you know, could be, you know, taking a ball and running off with it or something, and we would say, oh, be controlled, you know. And what it does is this hand idea gives a parameter of what we expect the children and how we expect them to behave. And we want them to be kind to each other. We want them to play fairly. We want them to be honest. And we want them to do their very best. And, you know, that to me is really well defined in those words. There, sorry, Andrew, I just lost you there for a moment. I'm sorry. I only have Zoom. I'm sorry.
Can you hear Mary?
Yeah, there, I have you there.
I think there's disconnection just now.
I think I disconnected with the HG or IG
Yeah, we are coming back to the live.
to the Zoom.
Okay, we are coming back again. Let's wait for Mary. Mary, can you hear Mary? We are back, coming in. Yes, I can see you. Okay, let's send me the invite. So anybody here has any questions to ask? Yeah, it's very rare opportunities for you to ask world champions. Anything about education, about experience before we end the sessions. Yeah, Mary, I can see you, but I couldn't see your request.
Can you hear me there, Andrew?
Maybe you need to unmute your Zoom for me to hear you.
Yeah, I think I have it unmuted here. I'm not sure. There. There, can you hear that now?
Anybody can hear? Hello. Can anybody hear? No sound.
Sound, is it not? Okay, I'll try one more time. I'm sorry,
Hello,
I'm not
hello.
there. There, can you hear that now? No.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Yeah, I'm sorry, Andrew, I don't know.
Hello, hello. Testing, testing.
Yeah,
Testing, testing.
I can hear you well.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Mary, so welcome Mary back.
Hi, Mary. Welcome you back. Welcome all the others, friends, teachers.
Thank you.
Can you hear us, Mary?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ah, there's no sound.
There. Sorry, Andrew. Thank you. Yeah, wonder. Chat. Andrew, it's there. Can you hear me?
Testing.
Yeah.
Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing.
I hear you well.
Testing, testing.
Yeah, it's having trouble loading.
Testing.
Okay. Yeah, mine says having trouble loading.
Can you see us, Mary? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Able to come into Instagram again?
Now, oh, now I hear you. There you are. Can you hear me? I hear you through here.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, I hear you now.
Can you hear?
Yeah, there. Can you hear
Is your
me?
sound okay?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear you, Mary.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I cannot hear you, Mary.
Cannot.
Is it just me?
Can you hear me now, Andrew? No. Yeah, I hear you perfect.
Can everybody hear Mary and hear me?
Can hear. They
Yes, I
can hear.
actually cannot hear Mary. Ah. Mary, I can't hear you, Mary. Okay.
I can hear you, Mr. Andrew.
Oh, I can't hear Mary because she has not joined yet. Yeah. Mary, send me the request. Can you send me the request so I can invite you to the live back to the live again?
Okay.
Yeah. How about Zoom? Zoom and YouTube. Can you hear anything? Because I unmute.
I can hear Zoom. Perfect.
Sandy can hear Zoom also. Can Sandy hear Zoom and YouTube?
It says I have technical difficulty on my end.
Yeah. How about Instagram? I cannot see that you are coming in. No, I see that you're here, but I couldn't
There.
see your request.
There, I have a request.
Oh, yes, I can see that.
There, now.
Okay, wonderful.
There. We had technical difficulty on our end.
Yeah, I can see you now.
It's great.
I can hear you as well.
Oh, perfect. Good. Well, I guess one of the things is we explain the way we've designed our program, but we really encourage the teachers to have their own input in with their classes. And, we provide a detailed all of our lesson plans. However, I really encourage teachers because they know their students and they know they have a relationship with them. I encourage them to also have their own autonomy to their classes and be able to, expand on what we've taught them. And if they see that, something isn't working, the children aren't having fun, don't be stuck with that. Understand what the main concept is that we need to teach and design their own around it. And for teachers that like physical education, that's I think very important, because if someone told me I had to teach a class exactly step by step from a book, I don't know that I would be able to do it. And in fact, I don't know that I've ever taught any class the same way twice. So I think to be able to let the teachers, if they understand the concepts of what you need to get to teach, and then allow them the autonomy to be able to teach it the way they want or add a little bit of their own style and flair to it. That's the best.
Yeah. So teachers here, there is a
Exactly, exactly. You know, teachers have their own relationships, and I think to build on that relationship is very important. I have a woman who works with us who, her name is Grania White, and she does a lot of artwork for my projects that I work on. She's wonderful, and she and I, you know, I don't have that creative touch at all, and I appreciate so much anybody who is able to do the artwork. And Grania can take really what I want or am describing and make it come to that beautiful color that you see behind me. So the first model there is a tree, and that just shows the skill development for our main program. And that is going from 4 different levels from ages 3 to 4 to 12. The different levels and the different skills that they have. But the idea behind that is that all of the skills must build. They build up and up and up. And if you see the big branches there that open up are all of the lifetime activities that children can get involved in if they have the skill sets that allow them to do so. And so how important that is. So I think the tree analogy in so many, you know, different learning centers, you know, is there because you see that there's roots that need to be placed, and then you can grow into and develop and branch out into your own interests. And so that's really that analogy. The one in the middle with the rings is a special program that we've also designed, and this program goes along with the workbook for children, but it would be a bit easier for children that are self-motivated. So it works in the same way that we work with belt systems in Taekwondo. And that is, if you achieve a certain level, you'll receive a band. And that band is a wristband that goes around. So you see here, we start out at white and then go to yellow and orange and all the way up. And every different level, again, relies on the fact that you have the skills from the previous level and then builds on those skills. So that's important. And then the other one here is a journey. It's an intervention program, and it's a game board that we're starting to develop, electronic game board, and it's just to have some fun, a little different way to learn. The idea is that all children learn in such different ways, and we want to be able to provide the lessons that work best for the children and that they take to. So it's kind of a different way to look at the same type of training. Well, I started, actually, I started about 17 years ago. I was asked to be a PE teacher in one of the local schools. And it was very interesting, Mr. Andrew, because when I went to the school, I had a game for the 12-year-old children to play, and it involved just a small ball, like a tennis ball size. And the ball, you know, you throw it up in the air and the children would catch it and they'd get certain points. It was a fun game. But when I started to play this game, I found that maybe 25% of the kids couldn't catch that size ball. And so what we had to do is we had to go back and work with games where they had a bigger ball and it was a little bit more controlled environment. And we could teach the skill of passing and throwing. And that just really got me to understand the need for developing skills before you try to ask them to push ahead and do a game like that. And so that's really when I started looking at how I was going to format the First Start program. And then about 5 years ago, we put a wonderful team together. I have a man who is fantastic with technology. He worked for a large technological company here and then branched out on his own. So he's done and designed our entire app that we deliver our program on. And as he says, it really is state of the art. It's a fantastic app. And it's really wonderful. And then we have Grania, who came in and she was working with all of the artwork for our programs. And then I have Leon Bryden, who is pretty much my right hand instructor. He and I work together very, very closely, and he was lucky enough to meet all of you as well. But Leon is, he's wonderful. And he came from a personal training background as well. So he brings that aspect into it. And then I had the corporate training, and then we had an education person, and then my oldest son gave us the medical input. So we really created this lovely team of people together to design the program, all very, very strong in their own areas. So they make us look good. And that's it. It is a team. It's you know, it's not one person that does anything like this. It's a team, and then it's also a team of parents. So every game that we play in our program has been tried out on the floor with our students, and if they don't like it, we throw it away, we start again. And so it's kind of a trial and error thing. If the children like it, then we generally keep it. Well, you know, I think we laugh a lot and we smile a lot, and we look for the lovely things in every day. And if you can, you know, if every day will provide something that is enjoyable. And that's the thing that we try to focus on. So for my instructors, when they're training and they're working with the children, if it gets stressful, you know, we just laugh and lighten it up a little bit. And I think that is our secret to loving. But I also honestly believe that I have the nicest job in the world because I get to work with children. And I think for me, that is my favorite thing to do. That's what I miss the most about this entire being locked down situation. But I think that I have a wonderful job, and I get to work with very talented people in my gym as well. And I guess I go to work and I think I'm going to play, and that's that's my secret. But yeah, I think the smiling and laughing is the best thing we can do right now. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Thanks. Uh, yeah. That's great. Yeah. Well, it's just been such a pleasure, and really, I do hope sincerely to come over and see your centers one day, because even after our discussion last year, I have just told more people about the wonderful things that you do in your program, and I know that I would have so much to learn from you as well. So hopefully someday we will be able to visit you. Oh, thank you. I will. They will. Yeah, yes, that's right. That's right. I will do. And thank you very, very much. And thank you to all of your instructors, and to Eunice and to Angel, and appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Sammy, too. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Bye.